Now, when you're making those decisions of who you want to start in your fantasy football lineup, well, it's actually pretty simple. It comes down to upside. Who are those players that could go off in week one and help you win? We got some names in mind, and we call them booms. These are our favorite running backs that have that huge upside this week. And while you're setting those lineups, don't forget to set your underdog line too for those pick'ems. NFL Week 1 picks are live, and right now, if you sign up for the very first time on Underdog Fantasy, make sure you use promo code ENDGAME because that gets you the new customer special for Week 1, Travis Kelce, going higher than half a yard. That's right, he gets 1 yard in Week 1, you win that pick, and you still have a 50% deposit match up to $1,000. Check out Underdog Fantasy and use promo code ENDGAME. All right, Chris, start us off. Who's your first favorite running back boom?
My favorite running back boom this week is James Cook of the Buffalo Bills going up against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, has the Arizona Cardinals defense gotten better since last year? Sure. Has it got significantly better? No. I still think this is going to be one of the worst defenses in the NFL this year. James Cook is going to get the bulk of the touches in this Buffalo Bills offense. Sure, maybe Ray Davis gets sprinkled in, but he's a rookie. He's probably not going to be used very heavily. Another thing I really like about James Cook in this game is I think this game could be a sneaky shootout type of game. You look at this matchup, you have two very good offenses with Buffalo and Arizona. Then you have Arizona's defense, which is not very good at all. But even the Bills' defense is not going to be elite like we've been used to in years past. This defense is not going to be the same. They're not going to be one of the worst, but I think Arizona is going to be able to put up points on this defense and make the Bills have to keep the gas on the pedal in this game. So I think we're going to see James Cook heavily involved on the ground, through the air. I think he's got tremendous touchdown upside this week. And in this matchup against this weak Arizona Cardinals defense, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if James Cook is a top 10, maybe even a top 5 running back this week. So if you drafted James Cook as your RB2, maybe your RB3, depending on where you drafted him, find a way to get him in your lineup this week, if at all possible. I really think he can help you take home the win and boom for your fantasy team.
Well, running back, I can't wait to put in my starting lineup this week right away is a guy I drafted a lot of, again, Kenneth Walker. I think he's ready for that career season, and I think he's ready to start right now in week 1. And why not? First week of the season, he's going to be at home against the Denver Broncos. You probably remember the Denver run defense, the one that got absolutely humiliated by the Dolphins in that 1 week and wound up as the second worst in terms of fantasy points allowed to running backs. Now, they did get slightly better throughout the second half of the year, but that really isn't saying much because it's hard to not improve when you were on pace to be historically the worst run defense ever. So I guess they tightened up a little bit. This is still not a great defense. Did not do much to improve significantly on the defensive side. And here's the thing. I don't think this is going to be a super high scoring game. And that's why I'm in on Seattle and their rush offense. I don't really think Denver's offense is going to put up much of a fight on the road in Seattle with Bo Nix making his very first start. I don't have a lot of confidence in that Broncos offense in general, but if Seattle's offense starts off hot, and I really am big on the Seahawks' new offense this year, Pete Carroll finally gone, and we got some actual movement maybe, like behind the line of scrimmage, some different looks, some creativity on offense with an offensive coordinator coming from the college ranks. Again, I'm really big on the Seahawks offense, and Kenneth Walker is going to be the focal point. We heard nothing really about Zach Charbonnet throughout the offseason. All we heard is that Kenneth Walker is going to be catching more passes. Finally, we're going to unlock his full potential. And again, this matchup is pretty much a dream matchup for any running back, but man, I really think Walker could just stomp over the Broncos this week. All right, then another running back we were big on in draft season. It's finally time to see what he can do in the regular season.
Yes, it is. I've been talking up Jerome Ford all off season. I think people are finally coming around on it now that Nick Chubb is officially starting the season on PUP. And they also cut D'Onta Foreman. Now they did add him back to the practice squad, and he probably will be on the roster. But I'm not worried about D'Onta Foreman. This is going to be Jerome Ford's backfield from now until whenever Nick Chubb comes back, and probably beyond that. Now you look this week, they're playing Dallas. You say, ooh, tough matchup. Dallas, good defense. And you're right, when Dallas is fully healthy, they are a good defense. But even last year when they were pretty much fully healthy, they were not one of the best run defenses. That was the way you could attack this defense, was on the ground. And you look at this game this week, you got the Cleveland Browns. They actually do have potentially the best defense in the NFL. You look at the other side of the ball, the Cowboys. Dak and CeeDee have had very little time together this training camp. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be able to light up this Browns defense and put the Browns in negative game script. I think, like you said with Kenneth Walker, it's going to be a low-scoring, close game. And you look at the Browns side, Deshaun Watson hasn't really been healthy this offseason. I think the Browns are going to go into this game saying, hey, let's just try to win an ugly game, lean on our defense, lean on that running game, and that means a ton of touches for Jerome Ford. And I'm not scared of this Cowboys run defense whatsoever. Plus, not to mention, he's a capable pass catcher, so he can get you points that way as well. I really think Jerome Ford comes out of the gates firing on all cylinders and smashes in week 1. And I'll tell you what, you talk about those pick'em lines that you talked about earlier. I love his line on Underdog right now. Higher than 44.5 rushing yards. I'm smashing the higher on that. I think he goes well over this in this game. Look, you pair that with that Travis Kelce new customer special, and right away you can triple your first entry. And don't forget, if you do sign up and use our promo code ENDGAME, not only are you going to get that Travis Kelce new customer special, but you're also going to get that deposit match, 50% up to $1,000. Take that money, put it on Jerome Ford and Travis Kelce higher than half a yard, and instantly triple your entry.
All right, now we talk about low-scoring games potentially favoring the running game. How low can we go? How about Vikings-Giants low? I mean, the matchup here is Sam Darnold versus Daniel Jones. I think that the running game will have a big factor here. Yes, I do. Like, the Vikings aren't dumb. Like, Kevin O'Connell's a good offensive coach. I know he likes to pass the ball, but I think he likes to win more. So we'll probably see a little less of Sam Darnold than we saw of Kirk Cousins and those other quarterbacks last year. We're going to see a lot of Aaron Jones because they did not have an Aaron Jones last year. It was Alexander Mattison, who just doesn't look like the kind of guy he used to be. They couldn't really establish the run. That's why they got Aaron Jones. And look, the only issue with Jones, the reason why people are a little hesitant is because he gets banged up, right? He gets injured from time to time. Well, guess what? It's week 1. He's healthy. He's fine. He had a long offseason to rest. He's good to go. And when Aaron Jones is at 100%, you can tell because he puts up big numbers. Remember down the stretch last season for Green Bay? He was a league winner in your fantasy playoffs. He put up huge numbers. I don't see why he can't have a big game here. It's the Giants. First of all, bottom 10 run defense last year. No issues there in terms of matchup. And again, this is a team where I feel pretty confident the Giants will not be running up the score, putting up a ton of points on the opponent, which means the Vikings can afford to establish the run. But here's the other thing which makes me a little bit more interested in Aaron Jones this year. The fact that they don't have really an elite quarterback, and that might be an understatement, that just means that not only will they run the ball more, but I feel like Aaron Jones is going to see more receiving work than ever because he's going to get those checkdowns. He's a nice little safety blanket for Sam Darnold. So he's got that receiving floor, he's got that rushing upside, and he's got a nice matchup here. So I'm going to be all in on Aaron Jones for sure in week 1. All right, what's another running back who has that week winning upside?
I think Rachaad White has week winning upside this week. I don't understand why he was so kind of undervalued in drafts this year. I guess people are worried about Bucky Irving taking a significant role. But look, even if Bucky Irving does eventually carve out a role, it's not going to be week 1 already. This is going to be Rachaad White's backfield this week, and he draws a fantastic matchup against the Washington Commanders. Going to be one of the worst defenses in the NFL this year. And look, I know Dan Quinn is a great defensive coach, and maybe he can work a miracle with this defense and get him to a respectable level at some point, but it's probably not going to be right away in week 1. I think Rachaad White is going to have no problem with this defense, and also the Tampa Bay offensive line looks significantly better so far this year. I don't know if Rachaad White's ever going to be one of the most efficient running backs, but he could be more efficient. We know he's getting all the passing down work. In this game, he's got touchdown upside. Rachaad White finished the season last year pretty much every single week, finishing as a top 5. I think he continues that this year going into week 1. I think he puts up another top 5 finish this week against his terrible Washington defense. So if you took the discount on Rachaad White, feel good about him this week. I think he's going to smash.
Well, if we get a little deeper, a running back really wasn't expected to be a every week fantasy starter, but I think this week Gus Edwards is a must start. So let me explain here. Now, it seems like it's going to be some sort of a committee there for the Chargers. We don't really know what's going to happen. You know, Harbaugh's playing it close to the vest. I've got a strong feeling we're going to see a lot of Gus in week 1 because, first of all, yeah, J.K. Dobbins is there. how much run is he really going to get? I mean, how much do they really trust that he is just good to go in week 1, extended game action? They really want to risk something happening to him if they even believe that he's going to be a big part of this game plan at all. Why not just go with the bus? So I feel like Dobbins might get a few touches. That's it. And look, Kamani Vidal, I'm still high on him as a potential sleeper, but even the running backs that are rookies, they get drafted earliest, get slow played into the season. The first month, they barely get involved. I don't even know if Vidal sees much, if any, action this game. I mean, he was barely going to make the roster at one point. So I really think this is Gus's backfield in week 1. And again, this matchup is too good to ignore. It's the Raiders. They're not going to put up a lot of points. And they're also not the most formidable defense. Gus is going to get the early down work, all the goal line work. And remember, this is now a Greg Roman offense where it's going to be run first, run second, pass if absolutely needed. And that's it. So, look, I don't usually like to project fantasy value based on touchdown upside. I have a feeling Gus gets at least 1, if not 2 touchdowns, and he can rip off huge chunks of yardage. So if I have Gus in any of my leagues, and I do have him in several, I'm starting him. Now, those are some of our favorite running back plays, but you want to know every single game, which running backs we like, which running backs we don't, which wide receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends we like. It's all here on the Week 1 playlist for Start, Sit, Booms, and more.